Wrestling with Goals is a podcast about building the mindset to succeed in sport and in life. Hosted by Coach G, a wrestling coach and football coach at the high school, rep, and semi-pro levels. The show features honest conversations with athletes and leaders who understand the grind. Subscribe, download, and listen to Wrestling with Goals wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Today, I want to talk about something more important than talent, more important than intelligence, more important than natural ability. I want to talk about grit. And I want to explore the groundbreaking research of Angela Duckworth, a psychologist who asked a simple but powerful question. Why do some people succeed while others, who may be equally talented, do not? What she discovered changed how many educators, coaches, business leaders, and athletes think about success. Because according to her research, success is not mainly about talent. It's about sustained effort over time. It's about showing up again and again. It's about resilience. It's about grit. Let me begin with a story. Imagine two students entering the same classroom. One is naturally gifted. Everything comes easily. They learn quickly, solve problems fast, and everyone praises their intelligence. The other student struggles more. They have to work harder. They fail tests sometimes. They don't pick things up immediately. Now imagine checking back 10 years later. Who succeeds? Most people assume the naturally gifted student. But Dr. Duckworth's research suggests something surprising. Very often, the second student, the one who persisted, adapted, and kept working, ends up achieving more. Why? Because talent may get you noticed, but grit keeps you going when things become difficult. And eventually, difficulty comes for everyone. So what exactly is grit? Dr. Duckworth defines grit as passion and perseverance for long-term goals. Notice two important words there, passion and perseverance. Not short bursts of motivation, not excitement for a few days, not intensity without consistency. Grit means caring deeply about something over a long period of time and continuing to work toward it even when progress is slow, frustrating, or invisible. That's important because we live in a world obsessed with quick results. We want immediate success, immediate fitness, immediate followers, immediate confidence. But grit is the opposite of instant gratification. Grit says, I will keep going even when rewards are delayed. One of Dr. Duckworth's most famous studies involved cadets at West Point Military Academy. Now, West Point is one of the most demanding institutions in the United States. Every year, talented and intelligent cadets enter the program, and every year, some quit during an intense training period called Beast Barracks. The question researchers asked was, who makes it through? Was it IQ, physical fitness, leadership background? Surprisingly, the best predictor wasn't any of those things. It was grit. Cadets who scored higher on grit were more likely to endure hardship and complete the training. In other words, the people who succeeded were not necessarily the most talented. They were the ones who refused to give up. Dr. Duckworth also studies spelling bee competitors. Again, the same pattern emerged. The students who practice consistently, deliberately, and persistently perform better than students with high natural ability but inconsistent effort. This challenges a myth many of us grow up believing. The myth is this: successful people are naturally gifted. But when you look closely at elite performers, athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs, teachers, coaches, you usually find years of unseen effort. You find failure, repetition, discomfort, sacrifice, and persistence. There's a quote often connected to grit that says, enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare. Think about that. Lots of people start, few continue. Lots of people are motivated on Monday, few are disciplined on Thursday. Lots of people dream, few endure the process required to make the dream real. That's why grit matters, because life eventually stops rewarding potential. At some point, life rewards consistency. Now, here's something important. Grit does not mean never struggling emotionally. It does not mean pretending everything is fine. It does not mean working yourself into exhaustion. And it definitely does not mean never failing. In fact, failure is central to the development of grit. Dr. Duckworth talks about the importance of learning from setbacks rather than being destroyed by them. People with grit tend to ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why am I not good enough? That mindset changes what can I learn from the emotional feedback is about real setback. Convergence, stop becoming heart. This connects closely to the work of another psychologist, Carol Dweck, who developed the idea of the growth mindset. A fixed mindset says, if I fail, I'm not talented. A growth mindset says, if I fail, I'm learning. Grit thrives in a growth mindset because perseverance only makes sense if you believe improvement is possible. And neuroscience now supports this idea. The brain changes through repetition and practice. Skills are developed, confidence is developed, resilience is developed. Very few people begin as masters. Think about elite athletes. We see the championships, we see the highlights, we see the trophies. What we usually don't see are the early mornings, the injuries, the losses, the loneliness, the repetition, and the years of invisible work. Grit lives in the invisible work. The workouts nobody applauds, the studying nobody notices, the practice nobody posts online. That's where excellence is built. And this applies far beyond sports. Teachers need grit, parents need grit, entrepreneurs need grit, students need grit, relationships require grit, health requires grit, leadership requires grit, because meaningful things take time, and time tests commitment. Dr. Duckworth also emphasizes that grit is not just about working hard randomly. It's about working hard towards something meaningful. Purpose matters. People are more resilient when their work connects to values larger than themselves. For example, a teacher who sees education as shaping lives, a coach who sees sports as building character, a doctor who sees healing as service, a parent who sees sacrifice as love. Purpose gives endurance meaning, and meaning strengthens perseverance. Now, I want to address an important criticism of grit research. Some people hear the message of grit and think, so if I'm struggling, I just need to try harder. But the reality is more complex. Environment matters, opportunity matters, support matters, mental health matters, systemic barriers are real. Dr. Duckworth herself acknowledges this. Grit is powerful, but it is not magic. People still need encouragement, mentorship, resources, and healthy environments. Grit should never be used to shame people who are struggling. Instead, it should inspire people to believe that sustained effort can create growth over time. So, how do we build grit? Dr. Duckworth identifies several important factors. First, interest. People stick with things longer when they genuinely care about them. Second, practice. Not just repetition, but deliberate practice, focused improvement. Third, purpose, connecting effort to something meaningful. And fourth, hope, not, not wishful thinking. Hope in this context means believing your actions matter, believing tomorrow can improve through effort today. That kind of hope fuels perseverance. I think one of the most powerful lessons from grit research is this: you do not have to be extraordinary to begin. You simply have to continue. consistency often beats intensity. A person who improves 1% every day eventually becomes unrecognizable from where they started. That's the power of persistence. Let me leave you with a practical reflection. Think about one area of your life right now where you feel challenged. Maybe it's your career, your health, your studies, your relationships, your confidence. Ask yourself, what would happen if I stayed committed for the next 5 years? Not perfect, not flawless, just persistent. What could change? Because grit is not about never falling down. It's about getting back up with purpose, again and again. Dr. Angela Duckworth's research reminds us that greatness is rarely explosive. Usually, it's quiet, slow, repetitive, and deeply human. It's choosing effort over excuses, growth over comfort, persistence over quitting. And maybe the most encouraging part of all is this: grit is not reserved for a special few. It can be developed, strengthened, practiced by ordinary people doing difficult things consistently over time. So the next time life gets hard, when progress feels invisible, when failure makes you question yourself, remember this: talent may open the door, but grit is often what keeps people in the room long enough to succeed.
You've just listened to Wrestling with Goals, the Conceive, Believe, and Achieve podcast with Coach G. If today's conversation challenged you, inspired you, or made you think differently, don't let it end here. Take the lessons, apply the mindset, and put the work in when no one's watching. Because goals don't happen by accident. They're conceived with purpose, believed in through adversity, and achieved through relentless effort. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with a teammate or coach, and leave a review. New episodes drop with real stories, real lessons, and real accountability. This is Wrestling with Goals. Train your mind, chase your standards, and keep building toward what you're capable of. We'll see you next time.